You are living in a high-tech simulated game right now. This is actually a hologram that you're living in right now. This is not, even though it appears that this is a solid reality, this is actually an artificial reality, and you can actually manipulate it with your feelings and your thoughts and your moods and your inner dialogue. You can control this hologram by changing your perception of it and your feeling states, and then impressing the new beliefs from the past, because the past doesn't actually exist, neither does the future. The past exists as memories, and that's about it. And if you can change those memories, if you can program yourself with new memories through revision, you can actually change everything in your life right now, change your beliefs of what your past actually was, because your past and what you believe is your past and your memories, that's what defines you right now. Everything you've experienced, everything you've seen, everything you've heard from the past is actually why you're experiencing the world that you're experiencing right now. But you have the privilege of changing that through revision. So I'm going to teach you an exercise in this video today that's going to teach you how you can manipulate your virtual reality that you're living in right now, because you created this world. I had a vision about this. I went into deep meditation and had a vision and went all the way to the very beginning. Well, there really isn't a beginning, but when we created this, when I created this, when you created this virtual reality, this high-tech simulated game that you're living in, you created it, and I was all alone. I had this feeling of being completely alone in the universe, or so to speak, but I was all alone, and I wanted to create a world where I could actually experience life and actually do things and live with people and see things that are actually separate from me, because I was all alone. I was just one being. So I created this illusion, and then I structured it in such a way that when you enter it, you actually erase your memory. You have no memory of when you entered it or that you actually created it, and you enter it. That way it feels real to you, because that's the way that it was designed. It was designed for you to feel like you're in an actual world that was created, and you don't know what's going on. You don't know who the creator is. You don't know when it's finished, or you don't know when it started. You don't know any of these things, but it was programmed just like a computer system. It was programmed, and all these things were inserted inside of it, like the Bible and all these passages in the Bible written symbolically to follow. That way it was really simple to understand by following the 10 Commandments and all these things. That way you have somewhat of a structure or instructions on how to live, like how to don't lie, don't cheat, don't steal, and all these the 10 Commandments, to follow those, because the way that you designed this game or this hologram was that it's a mirror. It's projected and balanced based from your feelings and the things that you do in this reality. So if you're a really harsh person, mean, violent person, then that ultimately comes back to you, and that's going to be the world that you're going to be living in, because the space that it is developed is actually, there's an infinite possibilities, those infinite possibility universes that you can travel in, depending on what your moods and how you're acting, and what your moods are, your inner dialogue. Everything that you believe to be true is where you're going to be in these infinite realities inside this hologram. But it's all one hologram, but there's infinite different possibilities within the hologram. So you can change it as you go. So now we're kind of like, we're hacking the system. These are hacks that we know, because I had this vision, so I felt it. I actually experienced where we came from and how it all began, and that is exactly what happened. We were all God in one energy, and then we created this reality, and so we can enter it and then erase our memory of it. That way it was a real, actual life that you could live. So why I'm telling you all this today is, so no matter what you're doing or what you're manifesting or what's going on in your life, remember that you designed this reality for the appeasement of loneliness, to be happy, to enjoy the experience of life. So if you right now are trying to manifest this, trying to manifest that, and you find yourself getting frustrated and pissed off, remember that you didn't create it for that reason. You created it to be happy, to experience life, just to have a life in general. So enjoy your life, enjoy living, enjoy every single moment of every single day, because that's why you designed it. And if you want to change things in your world, just go within yourself, because you are the projector. You're projecting the world, and that's the way that it was designed. That way it could be self-sustainable. So there doesn't need any batteries to run. Everything is designed this way, with the balance of self-sustainability. So you have to control your world through your inner dialogue, your assumptions and your beliefs of the past of the person that you are. So everything that happened in your childhood, I mean, that's not really your life. So the past doesn't really exist the way that you think it does. The past actually exists right now. And what you think is in the past are just memories. That way you feel like you have a solid reality of like, oh, you were born, you had a childhood, you had parents, you had this, you grew up, and these are the things that happened to you. And this is why you feel the way that you do. And you can't manifest things the way you want to based on that. So you can change all that. Now, I'm going to give you this exercise. It's called revision. Neville Goddard taught this, but I wanted to give you a brief, like, foundational history of all of this. That way it can make it easier for you to understand why this works, why revision, or how it works. So the exercise on revision that I'm going to give today would be for somebody that would want to get taller. Say you're 5'9" or 5'4", and you want to be 6'1" or 6'8". You want to change your DNA. So everything is based on your beliefs of your past. Okay, so you have to look at your past. Okay, so if you're a shorter person, your parents are probably shorter. They're probably very short people. So, and that's in your belief system. You're like, okay, so that's my DNA. I came from this, but remember, the past isn't real. The past is not real at all, but that's why you are your height right now, is because your parents were also short. Your grandparents were short. Something along those lines has impressed the subconscious mind with this belief. So now you have this belief that you're short. So in order to change that, before you go to sleep at night, you can do this for 3 to 7 nights. Before you go to sleep at night, create a scene in the past of when you were with your parents or something your parents were doing, and imagine them, or imagine a conversation that you were having with someone, and you overheard them telling you or telling somebody else that your parents were 7 feet tall. Like, change something, and you can do this as an example for anything that you want to change in your past. And you do this and you run it in a loop. So you create like a 30-second movie clip in your mind, in your imagination, because your imagination is God, and that's what's creating. So imagination is God, and you using your imagination is God at work. Okay, so you go back in the past, but you do it as of now, because the past doesn't really exist. So you create a scene in your mind, in your imagination, of your parents being 7 feet tall, or you're overhearing somebody talking about your parents being 7 feet tall, and you're overhearing this. Wow, his parents are this tall, or this person is this tall. So then you're creating a new memory for yourself, and you're impressing the subconscious mind with a big change in your life. But I have to give you an air of warning with this. With this exercise, the revision exercise can be the most difficult out of any one of them, but it can be done based on the world that we're living in, the hologram that you're living in. You can change anything, but it's all based on your ability to actually visualize this and feel this, the reality of your new past presently, and then impressing the subconscious mind as you're drifting to sleep. So you create this 30-second clip, and then you replay it over and over and over and over and over and over as you're laying down to go to sleep. And you lay in a position that you wouldn't normally sleep in, so you don't fall asleep right away. You want to do this for a good 5 to 10 minutes, maybe even longer if you can. And you fall asleep in this loop that is implying that this is now your past. Like, you're impressing the subconscious mind now with a new past, because the past isn't real. The past is just a memory of something that you think is real. When you can change the past, then the present has to change with it. So if you can impress your subconscious mind that your parents were 7 feet tall, then that will alter your DNA and will completely change. You will grow taller. There'll be something that happened from that point of intercept from your imaginal act that you've created that's going to change a series or sequence of events from that moment forward. But this is just an example of one thing that you can do. You can use revision for anything that you want to change in your life, because, like we said before, your past isn't real. It's actually just memories, and that's the only way that it can exist. But the only moment that is real is right now, and you have that moment right now, and you have the privilege of changing that. So impress the subconscious mind with a new feeling, with your new inner dialogue, and your imagination is God's, and when you're using it, that's imagination, that's God at work. Okay, so you're creating a new past for yourself, and you can do this anytime by impressing, because you don't have to focus on believing it. You don't have to focus on believing it. You just have to create the scene and then impress the subconscious mind of it being real to you right there, because the brain can't distinguish the difference. Your imagination doesn't know the difference between real and not real, and the subconscious mind doesn't understand any of that. So when you create this scene and run it in a loop and loop and loop and loop and loop and loop, and then you feel it, you're feeling this. You're feeling this as being your new past. It's going to be impressed into the subconscious mind, and then at intercept point is going to push it forward. And you can use this for anything you're trying to create in your life. Like if you don't have a lot of money because of certain reasons, like your own lack beliefs from the past, like you grew up in poverty, you can change that. Go back and then you actually grew up in a very rich household, or you have this amount of money in inheritance. Like you overheard someone saying something that they're going to leave you $10 million or $10 billion in inheritance because your family is actually rich, or you had this hidden family from way back in the past that actually were multi-billionaires, and they're going to leave you all of this money. You can create scenes like that, or relationships. You've always had the greatest relationships in the past, and you've never had any trauma in your life. You've never had this. Change it. Because all the traumas and every bad thing that you think has happened to you is just a product of illusion. It's just a product of illusion, and don't allow that to affect your future. And if you keep reinfecting yourself with this past that isn't real, then it keeps reinfecting and traveling into your future. So change it. Change all of that. And you can also, just knowing this and studying the hologram that you're living in, and you don't have to react. You don't have to keep reinfecting yourself with the past by knowing that it's not real. By knowing that it's not real, you can stop all your pain and suffering based on this right here. And if you want to have further discussions with me about these topics, or anyone in Neville Book in the Neville Goddard community, that link is in the description below. It's going to be the very first link. So click on that, go in there. You can instant message me at any time. So instant message me at any time. You can go in there. There's discussions. There's different groups. You can actually even open up your own groups and your own discussions and create your own content if you want to get your word out there. All right, guys, I love you guys very much, and happy Thanksgiving. Happy Thanksgiving and happy holidays. I love you guys, and I will see you guys in the next video.